All right, welcome to third video, second review of the evening. Um, Up this time is Saturn DX. Um, Saturn DX is another release from regular fixture on these reviews in recent times, Flynn's Arcade. So what that means is they have taken a like a notable arcade style PC game and brought it to the Nintendo Switch under a deluxe version. In this case, Saturn, which is a little what is described as a shooty. I'm not exactly sure what they're going for here, other than cutesy quirks.
The text describing this game is consistently pretty cutesy.
Mm-hmm. But basically, this is a twin. This is a twin stick shoot whatever, featuring infinite levels of chaotic physics based baddie blasting. You save your friends to increase the score multiplier, which would put this more in line with being a direct, not direct, directly influenced by Robotron 2084.
It does have some Robotron vibes, yes.
Anyway, the bigger the score, the more power-ups will spawn. I hope your brain enjoys the reward loop. I'm like, this was written by a very specific type of individual. Anyway.
You got the first boss on... No, I think level 5 is about when they can start showing up.
Yeah.
Also, I don't know if there's another freaking boss other than this one. The bestiary doesn't look like there is.
Anyway, Saturn DX was assigned to Galax for review, so over to him on the details of the Switch conversion.
So yeah, I'm not gonna go... There's something of the lore, but it's nothing. It's not really important. I don't feel like about what you are and why you're trying to save your friends on Satryn or whatever. But anyway, yeah, you're a guy. You can move around freely in 2D space and shoot infinitely, but only in about 8 directions. Even if you're using a mouse or a analog stick, you can only shoot in 8 directions. Though you can move in pretty much any number of directions. Each stage first spawns you with a certain number of your little friends that are the same color as you, a certain number of enemies, and a certain number of hazards, which the normal ones are these mines that are supposed to be tetrahedral and they just explode if you hit them. Or if your friends hit them, they will also explode and kill your friends. You want to try and collect the friends, but you do collect everyone who's left alive at the end of a stage automatically, and if that would have caused them to drop a power-up, you get the power-up automatically at the start of the next stage. You do also want to collect the friends for non-score related reasons, because it does cause more power-ups to drop, and every 60 friends you collect gets you an extra life, of which you only start with 2. In addition, aside from the enemies that are there at the start of the phase, up to like 3 reinforcement phases of enemies can appear within a couple of seconds, and they can be the same type as a previous one or a different type, which can be problematic because the basic red enemies and some of them don't, and some of the other ones don't really go after the friends that you're trying to collect very much. But, for example, the green ones that look like scorpions really do aggressively, and it sucks when they spawn after you've decided to be in a different part of the screen. Actually, it might only be 30. I don't know. Anyway, every so many friends you collect, you get an extra life.
I am also not playing the DX version.
Oh, maybe it is less. I don't know. Yeah, Petty fans playing the basic version because that's available for free on the HIO. It has fewer enemies and fewer different types of enemies and stuff, is my understanding. But I don't know. I'm seeing most of them. Anyway, there's also an in-game manual which gives you the names of all the different things and describes some of their behaviors once you've seen them. And keeps track of how many of them you've defeated if it's an enemy, and if it's an ally, how many of it you've collected or how many times you've run into a thing. Unless they add pages for it, the only boss I've seen is that octahedron guy, of which, in addition to being a single boss, they can sometimes show up with two of them at once, and also you can show up, they can get reinforcement waves once you've been playing for longer. It feels like you can be fighting some of those and then partway through a bunch of the red guys will show up. The power-ups are, aside from the lives, there's a shield which I think is permanent until expended, and it's more than just one hit, I think, or at least a decent amount of glancing damage, and it kind of explodes. But the other power-ups are a variety of different weapons, from front and back, spread, or all four directions shots, a flamethrower, a weird force field thing that pushes enemies away, a machine gun, and a piercing shot thing.
Yep.
So when you get those, you can't not use them, so it's just kind of nice to do what you have. And otherwise, you just kind of have to learn which types of enemies are more important to go after and quickly, and what kinds of hazards. Generally, if something is glowing various colors, it's a hazard rather than an enemy.
Yeah, that's
And
really
therefore
messing me up.
Yeah, and therefore it should just be avoided, or sometimes you can direct them away. They can usually kill your friends, which is obnoxious. But anyway, it's definitely procedurally generated. What you'll recognize some default waves and reinforcement waves after you play for a while, but there's no exact rhyme or reason to what shows up where, aside from that you generally don't get the bosses for the first few stages. The highest stage I ever made it up to was 14, because game a little bit hard, but it is kind of enjoyable and a little bit addictive if you are into that kind of thing. Sometimes I do get hit by something I can't quite tell. For example, there's some enemies that actually shoot projectiles that are kind of small, and there are some that can damage your friends and turn them into enemies, where they look pretty similar except for they're now flashing. So I think some of the times I die are because of things like that, when I don't see what's coming. But yeah, that's about what it is. It's a pretty simple thing, and my understanding is it's going for a pretty low price. Wasn't it going for like $4.20 or something on Steam? And I don't know what it is on Switch, Adam.
Now, on Switch, it's a bit more expensive. Saturn DX is $6.99.
Maybe they are doing the meme numbers on purpose. I don't know. I think that's fairly reasonable. You can get a decent amount of... I mean, you're only really playing for, like, score, attack, and self-satisfaction. But it is kind of neat. I think visually it's composed very well. Everything is in small, low amount of pixels designs, but I think it's generally done in a way that is very readable, and the enemies... The only thing that gets confusing, I think, is that the glowing hazards, the fact that they're glowing,
Yeah, I've always
sometimes makes them look a little bit too similar.
I've played. I usually associate glowing things with a power-up, not a hazard.
The power-ups are always diamond-shaped and bigger.
Yeah, but like just from classic games that I've played, something glowing is usually there to help you, especially glowing like
and
rainbow colors.
It does say in the manual what the things are. Like the little mites that the bigger purple guys spawn also flash between green and or purple and yellow. But yeah, I think it's generally pretty readable in spite of everything being made out of a very small amount of pixels. And while they sometimes get a little bit harder to, might be a little bit not the easiest to read, the smears on the ground from where you shoot things are also satisfying.
I guess, although I wish I could kind of turn them off at some points.
Yeah, some. I mean, they are darker than the actual interactable things, but I know what you mean. It might be good to have that be an option, and I didn't see one for turning that off. But yeah, a lot of it's just gotta learn how.
It doesn't look like in the regular thing, doesn't look like there is an option to turn off.
Yeah, there is a photosensitivity option.
Which
if
that
that's
is
a problem
good
for you.
Yeah.
I think if you turn off auto power or press select on the control thing, you no longer auto fire, but like, because your character isn't using a gun, they're shooting beams out of their hands. Don't do that probably unless you really want a challenge.
Well, you'll auto fire, but like you can, like, I imagine this is probably an accessibility thing. Just so you don't have to hold the stick in a direction, you can just kind of flick it to which direction you want it to go. Or like mouse.
Oh, yeah, okay, yeah. Yeah, it doesn't do what I thought it did. I wonder what it is. Maybe it's aim assist or something. Anyway, yeah, overall I think it's pretty enjoyable. I would recommend trying it out, and as we discovered, there is a version on itch.io that has like a lot of the features of it. So you can try it out. It's a pretty decent demo.
Yeah, it's basically a demo at this point. It's free. If you like it, go support the dev. If you don't, then move on with your life.
But it works well on Switch. With this amount of pixel stuff, it actually is quite good for handheld or tabletop play.
Right.
But yeah, I think that's about all I got to say about it.
All right, then. So that'll about do it here for Satryn DX. So be sure to tune in after the break, as we'll be giving impressions on Bubble Chicken Farm.